She is accompanied by the board chair and, of course, the CEO of the Kenya Medical Training Colleges. This is an activity that brings all the over 70 KMTC campuses nationally. Remember, this activity is conducted in 4 phases. And today, this is the national level that is being hosted here in the Lakeside County. But then, without further ado, let me just engage straight away the PS for Public Health to contextualize and help us understand the correlation of sporting activities and medical training. Karibu sana, Madam PS, look into the camera and help us kindly contextualize this. No, just look at the camera.
So thank you very much, and thank you for joining us. This is a very, very important day for all of us, and especially here in Kisumu. We have more than 3,000 students who are in Kisumu County, and addition with their teachers and the KMTC for fraternity. We are a big family in KMTC. We have about 85 campuses across the country, more than, with over 66,000 students across the country. So, and every year we graduate about 24,000 students in KMTC. Remember, KMTC is Kenya's premier middle-level training institute for medical students. And not just medical students, because we have many other courses that we train. Already, you can see the coincidence between our National Games Day and what is happening in Paris. Really, we are happy that we can correlate and mirror what is happening out there and what is happening in Kenya. And the one key most important thing why we have to do this on a yearly basis, mental health issues is one of the areas that we really need to take care of, especially to growing children, growing individuals, growing teens, growing youths, so that they can engage with each other, know each other, discover themselves, and know where they lay. Again, in this time and juncture, it will be important to be engaging our Gen Zs in KMTC. It is very important that we speak to them, speak to their hearts, and know what are the issues that they are going through at this particular time. You know, we have seen what has happened in the past. So we have come here to actually reach out to them. We have heard them. We want to also hear them and see them in the field and in many other areas. Again, knowing very well that we are training very many courses. It is important to note that these are courses that require a lot of concentration. And after coming out of here, they will be able to go and adapt into the classroom. We have curative courses, preventive, rehabilitative, pharmaceutical, and all that. And these are courses that actually, when they graduate, they will be dealing with the individuals at the bottom of the pyramid, at our areas of work, in the hospitals. They'll be helping human beings, touching lives from where they are. And again, the kind of personnel that we are training from KMTC, and in line with His Excellency's agenda, the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, the primary care, the primary health care is very core to us, and especially personnel to do with public health, to do with community health assistance, nutrition, skill-based for CHPs. Remember, we have launched and equipped and rolled out 107 community health promoters. And in short, community health promoters will be working very closely with the professionals that we are producing from KMTC to ensure that we help the people at the bottom of the pyramid.
That is just a bit of it. We'll come back to you later. And yeah, Troy, that is the PS for Public Health and Professional Standards, PS Mary Mudhoni, contextualizing this entire aspect. It's sporting activities, and of course, you know, KBC is our true sports partner, and this just it's just beginning. It's about 10:20, and there are different disciplines of the sporting activities that are underway here in the Lakeside County of Kisumu. And like you've heard the PS mention, these sporting activities are meant to, one, actually help with the concentration of the learners and also help with the mental health. Well, it is not ending here. We will be monitoring the activities underway here in Kisumu and be updating our viewers promptly. For now, Troy, let me hand it back to you in studio to continue that informative interview. Back to you, Troy.
Thank you, Wycliffe Okech, live from the great county of Kisumu, where we're expecting fireworks in terms of the 14th edition of the annual Kenya Medical Training College National Sports Competition. Talking about competition, we have another competition, and your true sports partner, KBC Channel 1, got you covered. We're talking about the Summer Olympics in Paris, France. And talking about the Olympics, national women volleyball team Malkia Strikers put up a spirited fight before going down to Brazil in 3 straight sets. This is during their opening match at the Olympic Games at South Paris Arena. Despite the loss, head coach Japheth Munala noted the improvement his side had made, remaining optimistic of bouncing back in their second match against Poland that is scheduled for tomorrow. My colleague Bernard Okumu is currently in Paris, France, and has prepared this report for you.
Malkia Strikers began brightly and scored the first 2 points, Leonida Kasai and Pamela Dhiambo being instrumental in Kenya's early charge. Brazil rallied from behind with Rosa Maria Montebella and Thaisa Menezes being the architects in the attack as they went on to bag the first set 25-14.
The FIVB involvement from the African continent to try to develop the game up to a higher level. And off the hands, that's it for the first set.
Determined to grab a point in the second set, Kenya intensified its attack, but it was not to be and trailed 13-7 at the first technical timeout as the two-time Olympic champions clinched the second set.
And it's another point to Brazil, 14-7. And it's a timeout. Well up by Bergman. Nicely put away. Triza, Kenyan captain. Oh, put away, take that. 25-13, job done. 2-set lead.
At a raucous and packed South Paris Arena, Brazil won the third set, handing Kenya a tougher task ahead of their second match against Poland on Wednesday.
And Bergman comes on, lands the spike, and it's all over. 25-12. Brazil have swept Kenya in 3. South American champions, too strong for the African champions.
We started by resisting so much on their attacks, and we were receiving very well, and our attack also were going good. Second set almost the same, but the third set everything now flopped. Our defense was bad, our reception was okay. That's the problem we have been having in Kenya, but we have cured that one. Now the attack was the problem. We were not killing the balls. So we are attacking, but they're picking the balls, our attacks, so many attacks. Then they started blocking us. So that's why the third set went that way. Swift center players, they must move swiftly so that they can stop the center player of the opponent so that we can use the wings to attack. So that was the challenge because they were not moving very fast, and that's why the blocks. Also, we are aiming so much, many balls inside, and their blockers are very tall. So we are trained not to aim the ball out inside, to aim the ball outside, to get the touch.
And of course, now we know we are doing better on reception. So we just need to go and work on our side out, making the score out of the good receptions that we are having.
Malkia will be eyeing to bounce back against Poland, barred by the improvements made in the opener.
Happy as much as we've lost. We've improved in some things, like our reception was very good today. I think we just had a difficulty in making the side out, but at least we can see our reception has quite improved and a bit of a backward. So that's something we've really improved, and we wish to pick on that as we head to the next match, and of course build up on that and correct our mistake.
For sure today reception yetu imekuwa tu sawa. Maybe kitu imerudi chini sana ni attacks zetu, but I know when we will go for training, like when we meet the next team which is Poland, tutakuwa tumerectify hiyo makosa and we will have to go.
After the Poland clash on Wednesday, Kenya will take on Japan in its final fixture on Friday. Malkia Strikers now switch their focus to their second game of the campaign when they'll face Poland, who did win their opening match against Japan this Wednesday. Will it be the match where Kenya will win their first ever set at the Olympic Games? Well, we'll wait and see. Reporting for Channel 1 Sports from South Paris Arena, I'm Bernard Okumu.
All right, very well, and we will be getting more information in regards to the games from Okumu a little bit later in this program. But Malkia Strikers, gentlemen, going down 3-0 haven't won their first set. But they were playing quite a formidable team, that is Brazil. They have become number one. They have won it. They've won the Olympics, I think, 2 times in regards to volleyball. So it has been a tough call, but good improvement. Allow me now to rope in my panel of experts. Beginning from my immediate left, we have Newton Ogada of God Will Provide, and also a governance expert. Just next to him, we have Counsel Ishmael Nyaribo, who is an advocate of the High Court and also a political commentator. We're also expecting to be joined by Churchill Saoke, who is a leadership and governance expert and also a university don, a lecturer at the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. But first things first, gentlemen, Kenya went down in terms of rugby. We finished, I think, number 9. And also volleyball, we have never won a single set. But the good thing is that there's some light at the end of the tunnel, Council, because we are seeing some improvements, and going down 3-0 to some team like Brazil is no mean feat.
Yeah, and you look at the amount of space we had to train with all these, political setbacks in the country, and the team had to kind of steal some time to go somewhere. And it was not easy to access, say, the Nyayo National Stadium, police, water cannons and all that. So I think they did a good job. And don't forget that Brazil is such a very strong, formidable team. So what they have done so far, at least to come up and compete at that level, international stage at this time, is both great for the team and great for the country, because they are still really shining the flag of the country. So yeah, let's hope that when they meet, is it Poland on Friday?
Poland, they actually supposed to be playing Poland tomorrow on Wednesday.
Oh, tomorrow, Wednesday.
Yes, and they also have a game against Japan as well.
On Friday?
Yes.
Yeah, so let's hope that they can improve. They can catch up on the remaining 2 teams, because they are still at the,
group stages.
And by the time, you might lose in the opening stage, but actually probably again meet Brazil or any other stronger team in the final. It is a possibility.
Very true.
And you might still beat the very strong teams. So the totality of how I look at it is the spirit of Kenya. We can have all these setbacks in the country, but you can actually go to compete at the international stage, at a global scene, a global stage. For me, that is a very positive thing about the country called Kenya.
Newton, weigh in on that in regards to what actually being just participating in the Olympics is just a big feat for any sports person. And just like Wakili has talked about, the current condition in the last one month or so wasn't the right conducive environment for even our sports people.
I think it was not, because we have been in the roads and with all the challenges. I'm sure they could have done better than what they are doing now, because they did not have that chance to practice. Because when are you going to practice? And Kenya was having a lot of chaos morning to evening, and without knowing when it's going to end. So I think what they did now is the best they could have done. But I hope next time when we have a similar opportunity, they will do it if the country calmed down in the way it should be. Yeah. And
we are hoping that our beautiful ladies, Malkia Strikers, can pick up the pieces tomorrow when they play Poland. Remember, World Cup was in KBC, AFCON was in KBC, now Olympics equal KBC, and we'll be showing all those matches live. Don't forget, we also have the athletics, where a lot of Kenyans and the world expect Kenya to shine. All the best to our Team Kenya in Paris, and Okumu will be bringing us up to speed with the latest from that place. But away from that, we also have a number of activities that have been happening in the country. The president has just wrapped up his working tour of the coast amidst, of course, a number of political issues that have been happening in the country, the CS nomination. We are also looking at the Gen Z protest as well. And we are also looking at people trying to work together. But the Clarion Call has been dialogue. So how can this be structured in a way that it's a win-win situation? After the CSs were nominated, a lot of people talked about really didn't represent exactly what the Gen Z movement was clamoring for. But the head of state also mentioned that we also need to bring the country together, and in his words, a broad-based government. That was what we'll be talking about, and also the state of the nation in the country. We saw some leaders meet up in the West and trying to also unify and solidify their strong points. But let's first of all hear Council. On Thursday, Friday, I think Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and yesterday the head of state was in Mombasa and actually had one of the public barazas in the county hall in Mombasa. It's quite different from what we have been experiencing in the last 1 month, where we've always been having protests. But he had an opportunity now to have a discussion with both the Gen Zs and also other Kenyans. And he said that this is just the first one, the first engagement. He intends to do that, and especially in the light of what has been happening in the last 1 month.
Yes, I mean, Bontra, you might say that the president went to meet the Gen Z and other citizens in the coastal region so that he can open up projects. Mm-hmm. But others would view it as a means of the president starting early campaigns so that he can be able to, solidify and entrench himself the way he had done earlier, so that he can prepare for 2027. I mean, there will be people who will view it as if he is trying to, bring the country together and quell the already high temperatures in the country. Mm-hmm. That is one view. The other view is that indeed the head of state is a master of political overtures, and he knows how to campaign. You remember in Uhuru Kenyatta's time with him, when they were head and deputy, even the head of state told him, don't go all over the place, don't tanga. But he actually used that and transmuted it into, you understand, the president has told me to be, I'm his, mimi ndio muti yake ya mkono, so mukiniona na tanga, I am trying to preach the gospel of Uhuru Kenyatta. But indeed, he knew in his subconscious mind, he knew clearly that the best way to achieve popularity, being known for both who I am and probably what I am not, I must be with the people. And if there's anything that has been really pushing William Ruto, even amidst all these Gen Z protests, he was looking for an opportunity to come out and be on top of the game. And I think the person to thank is the Gen Z, who brought up this commotion. They appeared not to know exactly how to tie the knot, how to end it up, how to close it all up. And William Ruto took advantage of that. He tapped Raila Odinga. And by the way, tapping Raila Odinga has been a thing going on for probably more than 1 or 1.5 years. It's not just yesterday that he called Raila Odinga. He started telling him, I know you, from a very long time. And I think they struck some form of working relationship secretly or privately, so to say, until this situation presented itself. Then he decided, now, I have to tell Raila Odinga, this is the moment to save the country. In the real sense, yes, you are saving the country, but looking at it from the other hind view, he is really trying to save himself and save the political class. He's trying to have those people in leadership feel warm with him, even at the cost of the Gen Z protests. So, yes, a national convention, like Raila Odinga says, is actually very critical and important. But in the manner in which it is being rolled out, the Gen Z are not covered. They simply now find themselves in between. And there's a big debate we can have about how Gen Z organizes themselves and how they can now tie them, which seems to be very complicated for any leader in the world, even for the Gen Z themselves. Tying the knot means a lot, because you could be rubbing, you could be stepping on the toes of your own mother or of your own cousin or of your own friends who are in government and who love the status quo and they don't love necessarily what you are doing. So it's a big debate in terms of whether William Ruto will succeed to bring the convention together if Raila Odinga were to withdraw. I'm not suggesting he's about to, but if Raila Odinga were to withdraw again, I think that the Gen Z will really be overbearing on William Ruto. Yes.
And of course, we'll be discussing the merits and the demerits of what exactly brought these people together other than unity, because let's be very honest, politics is a game of numbers, politics is a game of interest as well. Newton, what do you make of the president's visit and the public barazas that he has started? Because he said that he wants to cascade this into other counties and have a live discussion with Kenyans. In the coast, we saw how warmly he was welcomed.
I think, to my understanding, I think it's not the right thing now, because as we speak today, we still mourn for our Gen Z who have been killed in the street with no proper reason. And I was expecting President first to find a way of going through dialogue issues with the Gen Z, not even with the political parties. Because, you know, what the Gen Z have been doing, the ODM has been doing it, all the Azimio has been doing it since before. And you remember last year we lost over 70 people who have been killed when they were in the street, in the same agenda that the Gen Zs brought here. But being the Gen Zs announced themselves that they are not political, they are tribeless, and they don't have a leader. That is why it was very difficult for the government to deal with them, because you cannot deal with somebody who you don't know where they're coming from. But for President to tour the country, he has the right to go anywhere he wants, because that is his mandate. He have to work and he have to launch all the projects that he's doing. But according to my small understanding, I wish he could first look on how can we unite our country first, not just going to the street and start saying, oh, we are doing this and doing that. There was agenda which was brought here last month with our Gen Zs, and you know it has been a lot of fight, a lot of things. What I was thinking President could have done if I was him, number one, is to make sure that those who have been killed are being compensated by the government. Number two, those who have been arrested in this issue of Gen Z rioting, they should be out, they should be walking out here. Number three, we should have think of how can we bring the parents who lost their children during this time in a dialogue talk, and we say sorry to them. And again, to make sure that the police who killed these children with no proper reason, because I remember I was watching this when I was out at the country, I was seeing what was happening. You will see somebody is walking with water and white handkerchief, and the police shoot this guy. This guy has nothing here, he don't have anything in his pocket. He is harmless, you know. And then this guy was killed. And what could have been a proper reason for the president to go outside there is to mourn and go to the funeral and to talk with these parents who lost their children. And you know, the people who have been killed, most of them are from university. The people are looking for jobs. And if you check on the reason why they were on the street, we have thousands of people. Like yesterday, you said president was in the coastal region. I think it was a weekday. And he was having a multitude of people. Why? Because these people have no place to go. They cannot go to any work. But those who have been working like you guys who are here, you could not be in even if he's coming along this Uhuru highway. You cannot go there because you are busy. But if you see the crowd can gather 2 million people in 1 minute, all these people, they don't have a place to go. But I think the country now is tired with all these promises. We need to come down and think on how can we dialogue ourselves with reality, not with fake promises and not with political ambition. We should come down here and say, okay, we compensate these people and we are sorry for what happened. The police who did this was captured by the camera, he is already in court, being taken to court. And again, after this, now we can have a dialogue, because now we talk based on what has been happening and how we are looking for the solution. But now, you know, we don't have any solution.
You see, Don Troy,
yes.
The president has hinted that he wants people who killed to be apprehended, both the police and the criminals who participated, who probably hired goons again by some section of the government or some section of police, let's say. They are all going to face the law. But the question is, if you are saying that we will spend about 2 million to buy coffins, for example, spend another 5 million to cater for transport, spend another 10 million to feed the people in the funerals, for example. If that's what we are saying, where will that money come from? The money has to come from the treasury, isn't it? We have rejected the 2024 finance bill, isn't it?
Yes.
We've asked, the president has asked Mbadi to now be the head of treasury.
Yes.
He must implement that. Where will he get the money? Are they going to reintroduce 2024 finance bill? How are they going to, is Mbadi going to start quickly implementing policies of wastages and all that so that we have about whatever kind of money that is needed for compensation? And I think this brings us to a serious consideration of how revolutions and reforms have been handled historically. Socrates was slaughtered in Athens because he was against the powers of the day. If you go through historically how state machineries handle dissent, it has been extremely brutal. But in our today's democratic constitutional institutions today, it is quite unfair to actually find a young man carrying water and a phone and shoot him to death. To death. That is
actually, some are quite disturbing whether somebody is shot while running.
Exactly. So I think today we cannot take the advantage of how governments brutally used to rule their nations and compare it to today. The most painful thing is we live in an open society today. We have social media. We can see what's happening in Paris. The same time you are reporting it, Bontroy, I already have it on social media. So the most important thing for our nation to focus on, like my brother said, is actually having that national convention and the national dialogue.
All right.
There is a problem. How is it being rolled out? This is a thing for the youth. I mean, I expect the head of state to go to Malindi and appoint all young men and women within Malindi. Put them on his podium. Let them talk. But what we are seeing is all these, older professionals coming on stage, politicians, and managing, the events of the president. And that is where the young people are not seeing how they come in. I think there should be a whole, shift towards allowing the young people to at least air their views the way they started, other than, quickly capturing what they are saying and then, immediately taking advantage of it and starting to say, now this is what we shall do. We shall give you this. These young people of today don't want to be given nothing. They actually want their space protected the way it is. They are saying they will do the rest. They will do online trading. They will create jobs. They will do a lot of things in art. They will deliver things. You can see, even using electric bikes and all that. They have solutions. The problem is the Pharisees and Sadducees stand on their door and they don't allow these young people to go in to implement several technological advantages which exist in our country today and in the globe. Their biggest problem is, why are you blocking us and then telling us that you will supply us with this or that? Let us have our own highway and our own space. So when you go to Malindi, again, as I say, interact with the youth. Why are you interacting with Hassan Omar? You're interacting with Joho, Abdul Swamad. Those are political class. Let them alone. Ask the university students in the midst of Malindi people, what do you think? Let them also offer solutions. Then now you tell Joho, we want you to implement these solutions, as the young people have said. Don't bring these old class because they don't have solutions, honestly.
And actually, you see, we're talking about treasury, you're talking about, everyone is like, Mbadi will be doing this. It's more or less like he has already been vetted, but because we know how things happen, and especially when we go to vetting, all the cabinet nominees in 2 years ago, when he was getting to power, were all approved without a number of questions, but that's it.
But you remember there were some who were rejected by Parliament, but the President had to, override their decisions, and that was not very kind.
People are saying that we need accountability first before we can have a table and discuss. You do remember the head of state said in Mombasa that everyone who will be held accountable for the deaths of over 60 Kenyans, right? But the Independent Policing Oversight Authority has cited frustrations by police in regards to them investigating these murders. How will that be actually?
There's something I want to add. You know, I think we used to lies. The same president of Kenya, William Ruto, during the mix within the Gen Zs with the police. Here, he wake up and announce that the police did a good job. After killing our children, he said the police has done the best they could have done that day. Then the same person is telling us now there will be investigation. What do you expect in this? Because it is not two people. It is not 5 people talked about it. One person wake up and said, I congratulate all the police officers who are on the duty today. They have done the best they could have done. While some people are being killed with nothing, And then the same person went out somewhere and started saying, now we are going to do investigation on the police who killed anybody is going to arrest them. I think there's no reality in these things. We don't have reality against what the president is saying. When it comes to the finance minister, who I think we are talking about, John Mbadi, who is a nominee, in like a setup of a country, we must have the emergency money. When something happened, we must have a location which has been put for an emergency cases. We remember it is like 4 months down the line when we have heavy rain. I don't know if the people are being paid who have been having issues with their houses. So even those who have lost their children during this time, what I meant was how can the government sit down with these people and they talk? Because even if you're being given 1 million per family, this will never bring your child back to life. This is just something that will just end the way it is. But there's a way we can talk with them and then we cool down everything, the way my brother said. There is no way you bring somebody like Joe in the podium and say now, this is now our new cabinet that we bring. I have no problem with him, he's a friend. But did we consult these young guys? We have young guys who are having master's degree in various but they have never been given any chance. We don't have any youth from this regime who has been, like if you look into the last cabinet ministers who are now the president dismissed, we have somebody like Aisha Juma. I question even if he has a degree, I'm questioning, I don't know the background of her education. But she was being awarded because he was a political leader. The same thing happened now. If you look at the cabinet, how many people were being sent home and brought back? Why were they sent home and again brought back into the same position? There is some misunderstanding. So I want to advise our president in a very simple way. When you want to manage this country and with these people, don't just have ambition of being the next president again. Number one, start thinking how you can make Kenya to be a place where after your retirement, you will still enjoy being in Kenya. Not like after you're done, you go out of the country and you leave Kenya burning. If President Ruto go out now after election, he goes maybe to other country, maybe United States or somewhere, the Kenya will still burning because he has not solved the problem. But I'm thinking if the Gen Zs could have actually have the ending, not as my brother said, we could have been a better position. But now we are still not in a better position because the questions are still there and they're still there and they will still be there.
Picking from where Newton has mentioned, indeed, that seems to be what is happening in the country where we are sorting out some issues in a different way. For example, some of the issues that even the Gen Z raised were about governance and accountability. But in response to that, the solutions that we are clamoring for are political solutions. Case in point, the nomination of 4 ODM leaders into government. Are we not sorting the issues with what should be sorted out?
Yeah. So before this particular issue, the comment about the IPOA, for example, complaining that they are not having any cooperation from the other. Obviously, when they say that, it means they don't have cooperation from the police chiefs. Let me tell you, there is no junior officer of the police service who can make a decision if it's not coming from his superior. So when IPOA as a commission is complaining, as an authority is complaining that we are not having support, it means the chief police officers in those other units being investigated have told them, don't bother with the calls from IPOA. And what does that mean? Much as it is a honest view, and I think that's a very honest analysis, but it means we are still in the hood. We are still in the hood in the sense that our governance structures are not straightforward. You can't understand when can you take a person to court so that he can be jailed for doing the wrong thing, I mean criminal activities like those of killing innocent Kenyans. When can we have a democracy that has grown so well like in other advanced democracies so that when you do something, it is understandable and acceptable among all involved that that was an unlawful act and you must go home. You saw what they did to the FBI, head of FBI, when they were investigating her after Trump attempted assassination. Everyone was going the same direction, that you must go. So that even before she can be fired, indeed she just resigned. So, Bontre, we are still in the hood in terms of our governance structures. And that is the same thing now you ask. You're removing a person from, he's a member of parliament, he's a committee chair in parliament, he is a leader of the minority, and basically speaking, they have a job already. And there are young, unemployed people in the street, professionals who are mature, they don't have a job, they keep doing this or that to make ends meet, and you still don't look at them. Why? Because you want the noise in the political cycle to be silent, to be at least managed. You are not worried about Gen Z, about all those people dying. It is not a major worry in the minds of our political leaders. What is a major worry is, can Raila Odinga join me? Can John Badi accept to be minister? Can Kalonzo Musyoka come and join us? So these are their problems. And Gen Z should never sit pretty to imagine that now we have really shown the country what they should do. Never. Revolutions always have to go on until the proper reforms have been brought up. They have every right under our constitution to come out, to picket for a particular, like they say, occupy this, occupy that. They should never really be silenced by anyone until their demands are met. But it is better now because at least we have set parameters of engagement. The youth have shown that it cannot be business as usual. You must listen to what the majority want. And I think much as it looks murky and it's not really what we want, we can be thankful as a country that yes, we are progressing towards a proper direction. Because you see, who knew William Ruto would say, please let us talk. If you look at the arrogant speeches in 2022-23, we didn't know we could tame the president.
Actually, I think from what he had talked about is that there was not going to be any handshake or any...
It's all there. Changed. You've seen it, Bontre.
Yes. Now we are actually joined by Churchill Saoke, who is a political analyst and also a governance expert, a lecturer at the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, and also a regular commentator here in terms of News Check. And Daktari, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Troy.
We are expecting the vetting of the cabinet nominees this week till Sunday. How objective should the vetting, the select committee be, bearing in mind that we have, and especially the 4 ODM leaders, we have them on camera time and time again, actually watering down some of the policies of the government, and especially when you talk about the Honorable John Badi. And some of them had talked about never wouldn't want to work with the current regime. But they are now singing the song, and a lot of Kenyans will be watching to see how objective they will in regards to these CS nominees.
Yes, Troy. I think the vetting of the nominees is a very good opportunity for the CS nominees to express their competencies. I mean, for me, I look at it in terms of the bar is raised for them, because considering some of the remarks that they have made previously about the regime and about possible alternative solutions that they considered that they could be able to provide. Having been given this opportunity, it is something that the bar is raised for them, and it will be interesting how perhaps even during the vetting process they are able to defend themselves and able to defend certain positions that they have taken before. And see, how Kenyans can be able to see whether is it that some of the remarks that they were making were merely political remarks, or they were things that were based on their expertise in some of these areas. So I think that the Kenyans' eyes are really on some of these nominees, and I think it's across the board. You remember the president alluded to the fact that it's a change of it's a change of tact in terms of how things are going to be done. So even those who have been nominated and previously were in the previous cabinet, his expectation is that things are not going to be the same again. So it will be interesting to see how that vetting process, how it goes, and somehow each of those nominees will be able to defend themselves. Remember that those who are in the previous cabinet, they also have an opportunity to defend themselves why they would be able to, what difference they would be able to make, considering that they already had a chance to work for the government and do some of those things that they might want to say in this vetting process. So what is this thing that will be different? So, and again, considering the circumstances under which this is coming to, the accountability bar is huge. Kenyans are watching, their eyes are wide open, and it's not just about lip service and speaking things that are good for the public, but those that they will be able to be held accountable for once they get in office.
And Doc, where does this leave the opposition? When we come back, we'll be talking about where this leaves the opposition, and especially in Parliament. And should ODM relinquish the position or the post of minority leader? We will be talking about that more when we come back, but let's take a quick short break, then we'll be right back.
Unajua, token mita yako inahitaji system update. Ni rahisi na ni free. Ukipata ujumbe kutoka Kenya Power, yani SMS, weka kodi ya kwanza kureset, alafu weke kodi ya pili kuupdate. Update token mita yako. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na Kenya Power and Lighting Company.
I never heard the music so sweet. I repeat.
Wagwan, me brethren, big things are going. Remember, each and every Monday we have to shell down the place with nothing but the best of smooth reggae vibes in your favorite station. You know these things, man.
Alafu kila Tuesday, kata simu tupo side, giving you Kenyan music from the 254.
And of course, you can spice up your Wednesday by enjoying blazing hot hip-hop and R&B jams.
We don't got no label. She say she want bottles.
Vibes and vibes as we go all across Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, all the way to Tanzania to give you nothing but the best on Afro Thursday. Make sure you make a date with us each and every single Friday with me, DJ_Liza Diva,
DJ Cold,
and me, Wanjiko. This is Club One Extra.
Unanifanya nisikie kunyongwa Hadija ai Mani especially ukisonga.
Thank you for joining us on Healthy Living. Stay connected to Voice of America at voanews.com. A look at your kidneys and how they impact your health. And an expert discusses chronic kidney disease and how to protect yourself. And Ivorian psychologist Noor Bakayoko shares some insights on bullying and what can be done.
It's important to avoid major events or major health crises.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well
and strive to make every day a healthy day.
Welcome back. Just in case you joined us, this is KBC News Check, and we are looking at the state of the nation, and especially in a week that is quite busy, we are looking at the CS vetting that will be done in Parliament, and also we are looking at what of course the Gen Z and other Kenyans have talked about what is the clarion call as we speak is a dialogue. How should we structure this dialogue? Because they have been requested by all sectors, including the clergy. And how do we ensure that no one is left holding the short end of the stick? My name is Bentroy Njue, and Brian Muraru has been our sign language interpreter for this program. So we continue. We have Newton Ogada. We also have Dr. Churchill Saoke, who is joining us via Zoom. And before the break, we were looking at the vetting process. How objective should the vetting be, and especially in the light that some of these politicians had vowed already not to work with government, and also they are in the opposition? Where does this leave the oversight? Newton, coming back to you, the seat minority leadership seat is now a cabinet CS nominee. And one of the tenets of the Constitution is that we need to have an opposition to oversight government. And if you go for the biggest minority party, which is ODM, that leaves a lot of gaps, and that leaves the opposition weakened. I'd like you to talk about that.
Oh, thank you. I think I'm an ODM member, and I'm a strong ODM member. And I want to clarify a few things on the appointment which the president did a few days ago. You know, president has the right to appoint anybody who he feels can help him deliver what he promised the Kenyan when he was doing his campaign, and to help him manage this country accordingly. And again, I'm happy with the president when it comes to appointment, because they said they cannot work with the opposition when they were doing their campaign after taking the leadership. But he tried in 2 years, I think, and he failed. And this made him to send away all his cabinet and come up with another way of appointing new cabinets. When it comes to government management, does not need any political side. It needs Kenyans. So Oparanya, Joe and Mbadi and Opio and I, those are Kenyan by birth. And they qualified to hold any office apart from political office which they were being elected with. So, and we have seen their performance in their offices when they were being elected. Like if you talk about maybe Oparanya, you can see how he managed to work in his county. Mbadi has been a member of parliament for 15 years. And Ondai, I think this is his second term in parliament. So I'm sure they are going to help the president to deliver what president think they can manage to do. But let me tell you, ODM is a political party, and we are still in opposition as we speak. The state of ODM is not based on individuals. You know, people have just been talking about this is weakening the ODM and so on and so on and so on. There is no point. And you know, when the ODM want to join the government, there's a way of doing that. There's a dialogue way. There must be a preparation of the agreement on how we are going to work with the government, which has not been done. So the appointment is actually an individual thinking that president did. He thought it's wise to get some people from Kenya, not from a political party. Even our party leadership, we have not even know what is going on about the nomination. But the president has the right to appoint anybody across.
I totally understand you, but if you look at all the sovereign countries in the world, they have a fully functional opposition. Yes. And in as much as we, as Kenyans, would have wanted a clean cabinet, bringing people who, some of them are over 60 years, the same thing that the president has been opposed to. Some of these people were leading the opposition. Talking about Mbadi, talking about Opio and I, who is the minority leader. I think even some of the people in ODM feel that this is watering down. You're taking the best players in a team.
No, you know, ODM does not belong for 4 people. We are very many in ODM. I think we are... And
why ODM? They could have picked even from Roots Party of Wajakoya. They would have picked someone from the Green Action Party of Kalua Green. They could have picked from Wiper. Maybe Wiper said that we do not want this seat. There are over 100 political parties.
Can I tell you something what happened? President put this thing plain on paper. That the time has reached that we have to work as Kenyans. without looking on the political parties. We want to make sure that we bring Kenyans together, and if you can manage something. For example, if the person that president appointed to be the Minister of Finance failed, and is seeing potentiality in Badi's bid, why? He can pick anybody to be in that position and work. And again, weakening political positions about appointing somebody happening there. You remember we had Kibaki and Raila when we were having the 50-50 government. It was not working smooth, but at least we got development during that time. So me, I'm on side of the president when it comes to appointment of these ministers from the political party. Number one, these people have been politicizing everything that the president has been doing in this country. And he sat down and said, okay, I've been doing it, but you've been saying it is bad. So come and help me do it better. That's the best way to kill the fire. Because, can I tell you, you cannot kill the fire with water easily. But if you want to kill the fire so fast, you bring another fire next to it and then they burn down and everything shut down. So if these people have been saying that president is not doing it right, and they decide, okay, I'm not doing it right, and you can do it better, come and we work. I don't think if this will be a political...
Let me hear what Daktari has to say, because a number of Kenyans have raised issues in regards to the appointment of opposition leaders into government. One of the reasons being that Kenya Kwanza had their Kenya Kwanza manifesto, which they still have. ODM also as well, or Azimio has their own manifesto. These are two very different things. And looking at the documents that these people will be manning, they are very critical and crucial documents. Let's hear what you have to say, Doc.
I think that what we are facing is what I will call the country having been too much indulged or monarchy of opposition in this country, and you know, I think there are quarters or there are political formations that have been known to best performers as opposition that the country cannot fathom what it means when they get to government. Because when you look at what has been happening before, when presidents get into power, the first thing they are interested in doing is stabilizing their regimes and having political legitimacy of their governments. And one of those ways in which they get that stability and political legitimacy is ensuring that you bring some of the members of the political parties that are opposing you into government. And this, we have seen it at the time when the Kenya Kwanza government was elected. It is amazing that, you know, at that time, it was not such a big issue. But apparently, other political formations, like for itself working in government, it becomes a big problem. And I think that these are issues that maybe Kenyans need to deal with in terms of how does the country deal with one political formation being the main player in the opposition? Is it safe for the country? And assuming, and this is now what is happening, assuming this political formation decides to work with the government, how does that play in terms of accountability mechanisms and political structures that can make the government accountable? So I think these are conversations that are very important for us to make, because politicians and ODM, like any other political formation, would always want to fight for its survival. And one of the survivals is to ensure that, you know, they also find their stakes in government, because nobody wants to be in opposition forever. So I think that in as much as, yes, the president will be keen on stabilizing his regime, and by default, he would want to reach out to the opposition, because that helps him to reduce the noise. It helps him to reduce the hullabaloo and the noise making when implementing his policies, which is an advantage to him. But the question is, and this is, remember that these formations, these are politicians, and you know, the people of Kenya must ask themselves that the opposition parties or the political formations that have been in the opposition for over time, is it not the right time that we need to reconsider restructuring the political system so that we also begin to see not just ODM as the possible opposition party, but other political parties as well? Because I mean that this country, I want to believe that every citizen is interested in accountability, good governance, and transparency. And it is incumbent on each and every person, be they politicians, be they individuals, be they civil society organizations, to ensure that they take that role of holding the government accountable. And if we look at it from that perspective, then we should not therefore have a problem when there is one political formation that seeks to work with government, because we have multilateral, or what I will call multiplicity or multipolar centers of opposition.
Doc, looking at the Gen Zs, they also had clamored for, also we want to be included in government. And looking at the new structure cabinet, do you feel that their interests have been well represented?
Come again, Troy, come again.
The Gen Zs, in more or less, they were talking about accountability, but they also were talking about inclusion. They want to be included as well in government. From the lineup that we saw, do you feel that they have been well and adequately represented? I think
for the Gen Zs, it is not an end, but it's a journey. And so far, where the Gen Zs have reached, they have already been able to reach a point where they're actually creating this multipolar center of opposition, which is to the advantage of the country. Mm-hmm. And I think that it is something that they need to continue on just to push government, because you see, it's not about, because when you look at some of these other opposition parties, they have been in this journey for pretty some time, and it's not something that happens in an instant. You got to, for the government or for political setups to listen to you, you must show strong force of structuredness and engagement. And I think that these are some of the issues that even in terms of considering the views of the Gen Zs, these are formations that did not have really structured leadership, and engaging them was a little bit difficult. And I think that it's in terms of the advocacy of pushing government to become accountable, to bring a better face, that they have achieved. And the next thing that perhaps needed to be done is to have a structured formation by the Gen Zs that will be able to work, help enable government, engage government in a structured manner that can be able to push government to achieve certain things that they want. Because you see, again, in terms of how government operates, you cannot be able to engage faceless formations. You got, the moment you engage faceless formations, you ideally give up your sovereignty. And the only thing that you will find that governments will be able to do with faceless formations is just to find how to manage them. And I think that there is need for the Gen Zs to become a structured opposition or a structured civil society movement that can actually be able to engage government and moving onwards. Otherwise, in terms of how they are engaging now, it is good in terms of pushing government, but it might be a challenge in terms of how government engages them.
All right, gentlemen, back to you in studio, and we are now joined by one of our political analysts, Sami Meli. Karibu sana, Sami.
Asante sana.
And thank you so much for making time.
You're welcome.
Wakili had to step out, but we are looking at the state of the nation and more or less what we expect, especially when we come to the vetting. As I wait for you to recollect your thoughts, Newton, Doc has talked about, and this is something I think Wakili had raised in terms of the Gen Z movement, they also need now to put faces there because they have been able to get the shoe and thread the shoe, but they have an issue tying up the knot. Yeah. And this is some of the things that they can overcome now so that they may have a voice, and a strong one, just like the way they did last month when they came out in numbers. They can come out in numbers and change the destiny of this country.
Yeah, you know, I agree with him because you cannot appoint somebody that you don't even know. You must have somebody you know, because they have been complaining, we're not in the government, we have not been nominated to be in any office, but again, they contradict themselves. They say, we are faceless, we are tribeless, we don't have a leader. So I think it's now difficult even for the president to find a way of who am I dealing with. But again, you asked me before we go the other side that the president appointed 60, 70 years old people in his cabinet. And again, I think you ask why only ODM members and top officials were being appointed to be ministers in his cabinet. Mm-hmm. You know, President said very well before this. I always listen to his speeches. Mm-hmm. He said that I now accept our political formations to come up together so we can create a strong and functional cabinet. He approached the Wiper, he approached Wakina Wamalwa, who is my friend, and all of them, they appear to the station, to the news that we don't want to work with you. And by the time they say we cannot work with you in your bloody government, you know, because I remember what they were talking about. And the time that the president now were reaching about the people, you remember the president said, and his team, that we cannot have Nusmukati, we cannot work with anybody, we cannot talk with Raila. They have been saying all this, but a time reached that now they cannot manage the situation. And they said, yes, now we cannot manage it. Where are the people now to help us? Because let me tell you one thing, Kenya belongs to one of us. Kenya does not belong to KK regime. Kenya does not belong to Azimio. Kenya belongs to all of us. When Kenya was now burning, and this guy came out and said, okay, I apologize. Mm-hmm. We had all these issues, but now I accept to work with anybody who wants to work with me and to help me finish my term in a good way. Then everybody said, now I'm not working with you. We are not part, we are not part, we are not part. Mm-hmm. And the Azimio have been in the street last year fighting on exactly what now the Gen Zs were fighting of. In fact, last year, I said before that 70 people were being killed because they were looking for the right of an individual in this country. Mm-hmm. And now it comes down, the Gen Zs come and now take this journey over. And then, President say, okay, now I agree. Because now I'm dealing with faceless, I cannot see them. But now how can we solve the situation? They all say we don't want it. And Raila said, I don't know. And then, President went ahead and think, whom can I bring into my cabinet? I told you when we were starting that those who are being appointed by the government, they were not appointed by the party. They were appointed by the government, and the government, and President has the right to appoint anybody, even you, to be in his cabinet, and with no any question. So the people who people think, oh, now the ODM people have been taken away, so there's no opposition. Opposition does not belong to ODM all the years. That's another factor. We cannot, I'm an ODM member, and I'm a member. I cannot be in the street. All the year come, I'm in opposition. Raila has been in the street since 1981. Mm-hmm. He's still on the street until today, he's 80 years old. Mm-hmm. So a time comes that we have to think Kenya is bigger than all of us. And we must sit down and think, okay, if we fight, mm-hmm. remember, Sudan has been having issues. Mm-hmm. How does the Sudan look like today? Somalia here, where our children are, they have been having issues with their political differences. Can you compare Somalia and Kenya? Do you want us to bring this again in this our country, where we have democratic right to campaign and to talk and to use any language? I think there is the best time for us now to listen and understand what we can do and unite Kenya together. But what I don't agree with is that the president is out in campaign mood, talking with people without solving the issues. Let us solve the issues first. Issue number one, I talked about it, corruption issue. Mm-hmm. We have not solved the corruption issue. It is the problem, it is the genesis of what is going on in this country. If we solve the corruption issue, then the Kenya will just be okay. Now the question has been, I saw former CS Moses Kuria saying, walishindwa na hiyo kasi. And now Mbadi, they go to Soba and they found somebody called Mbadi who is going to help president to work on the financial use in this country. That is a big lie. If there's no money in the treasury, what is Mbadi going to do there? So this is the question. What Mbadi is going to do there is number one. We have to fight corruption and we finish with the corruption. We have to invite investors because now we don't have 2024 finance bill. It was coming with a load. It is not there now. Now we can invite our investors to come back to this country, and then we invest in companies. Then we are going to get the target of whatever we wanted. But if you don't do so, there's nothing is going to come up. But let us not politicize the president, even if he does good. Me, I praise president because the first time in my history, I've never seen CS coming from Nyanza, but now we have one.
Let's hear what Sammy has to say in regards to that, because again, people have expressed their reaction. Actually, as we speak, Parliament has already 20 petitions in regards to some of the names that have been forwarded by the President in regards to the CS nominees or the CS post. But looking at what we expect as Kenyans, there is the political divide, there is also our leaders, there is also Kenyans as well. How objective? Because I believe the buck now stops at Parliament in regards to the vetting process. And Kenyans will be keenly watching. Reason being, if you remember 2 years ago when we were vetting these CSs, a number of issues including integrity issues came up. And in some report, they did not recommend these CSs, but all of them became CSs. How objective should this time round the MPs be in regards to the vetting process after everything is said and done?
Now, I think the Gen Zs have brought this country to factory settings. The members of Parliament, I believe right now, they will not stick to their sides of divide, the political divide. They now have to work as members of Parliament. As you are talking about opposition being there or being in the government, you have to be objective. If a bill is not good, it is not good, whether you are in government or in opposition. If this person is not qualified, whether you are in government or opposition. Because at the end of the day, if the president scores, for example, in his agenda, we have all scored. If he fails, if he missed the goal post, by far, we have all missed. So I would wish that our Parliament, since now they know, the president is not the only one seeing them. The entire country is now watching. And we have a serious opposition called Gen Z that is now watching, because I'm sure they will ask, how did that one get through? How did this one sail through? And looking at the gentlemen appointed by the president, some of them I have experienced in so many fields. Some have been members of Parliament, some have been cabinet ministers before, some are retired governors. The word retirement there again, you know, when you retire, you are already tired. The last part of retire is tired. So why would you be brought? What didn't you do in your 60 years? Before you retired? What didn't you do in your 10 years as a governor that you'll bring to the national table to do? I believe down here they are very experienced Kenyans, but as my fellow panelist here said, if you are engaging a faceless monster, or if it's a group that doesn't have a leader, it is difficult. And that's why I'd want to say Gen Z's failed big time by being leaderless. They were not as organized as they should be. Because I'm sure if they demanded, for example, these 4 ministries, the president would have given the younger generation the 4 ministries. But he had nobody to negotiate with. Because now, how do you say we don't have a leader? Therefore, that is, you are an amorphous group that cannot be dealt with. So, as we go to the nominations of the CSs, for example, Wycliffe Oparanya was in the Ministry of Planning in Kibaki's government, and is part of the team that came up with the Vision 2030. Yes, and I know him is a worker, but again, the age factor is a problem.
Yeah, because the head of state was also categorical that after you hit 60 years, then you should actually retire.
But I was thinking he was addressing civil servants. And you know, these cabinet secretaries are not civil servants, they are state officers.
For the optics and Kenyans, there are people who are younger than 60 years and they can do a better job, or even a good job as well. But for national unity, I think that is why the head of state had to bring in this for
because I can not go to
ODM.
Kakamega in a village, pick a young man who is 35 years old, even if he has a PhD, he doesn't reflect the face of that place, because at the end of the day, the same people will ask, who is that you appointed? What has he done? Yes? And funny enough is that they go even into his history, even into his family. So it is safer for the president. The president is actually having some safe space by appointing somebody who has been in political limelight. And therefore, it will be very difficult for people to challenge him. When it comes to that, because the people who are there have experience, we have seen them, but now the bigger thing is now the corruption. And this is where I want to come and challenge. If you just keep blaming corruption without coming forward and saying so and so is corrupt, he stole this bottle of water and this is the evidence. You can't come and say Meli is corrupt. How corrupt is Meli? What did he do? You don't have. The same way they were saying our president was a thief. When he was campaigning. But nobody came forward and said, this is what he stole from me. Because we cannot keep casting blame onto people without coming up with the right, because there are instruments in this country that deal with corruption. Just the way they are asking the president to account for those young men. I wish the president would point a finger at the AG and say, AG, the Constitution says that the National Police Service is independent. I am not directing you whom to shoot. I'm not directing you whom to arrest. Therefore, account for these 45 Kenyans. And there is a body called IPOA, which also oversees the National Police Service. So, if we cast blame onto people where there are independent offices, for example, if IEBC was to fail today, we cannot say the president has failed, because IEBC is independent. The police service, National Police Service, is in as much as the president appoints the Inspector General, but again, has to be vetted by the other instruments in government. At the end of the day, he is not the one who should take the blame. We ask IG Kome, when you were in charge at this time, some 25 Kenyans died. Who killed them? What is the justification of killing these Kenyans? That is what the president said the other day. And he said there's a bill coming, there's a bill being formulated that will come to parliament, perhaps this week or next week, about corruption cases being concluded within 60 days. That is a step forward. So Gen Zs have won there. Gen Zs won by asking the entire government. So even Badi, as he sits in National Treasury and doesn't work, he knows that he will have to be sent home because the agencies watching, 25 million of them watching. Not only the president seated in State House, the entire country is now auditing our leaders. And I wish that is the direction we should take. And the pride that I have right now is on our Constitution, the freedoms it has given unto us. I am sure if these agencies were to try this during Jomo Kenyatta time, they would face the music. If they would have tried it during Moi time, it would have been another story altogether. If they would have tried this during Kibaki's first regime, it would be another story. We are enjoying the fruits of our, but within the freedoms, there are limits. You don't come to a national television and call the president Baba Shalin. Is that respect? No.
No, it's not.
Yes, you can't come to the same thing you cannot tell your father, you cannot tell that to the president direct. There are respect. If we don't respect the president, let's respect the office,
presidency.
The presidency. Yeah. And as people keep saying that we want to disband the government and go back, where? We will end up having warlords all over this country. And at the end of the day, we will end up losing even the gains we have made. Some of our young men, as I speak right now, some of them, we have brought them up. These are the fruits of our labor, the people we have grown as a society. When we said, we stopped teachers from disciplining these children. In fact, some of the people at the moment are a product of the new system of education. that was changed around 2005. You know, the 844 system started adopting new changes. These are the children who are taught their human rights. That is why they could not face a policeman face to face, because he knows his rights. They know their rights. The gallant ladies and the gentlemen who would stand their rights, they stand their ground. That is a fruit of our education. The system is working. And therefore, we should not cast a blemish on them. But at the same time, let's teach them slowly. Let's talk to them nicely that a president is a symbol of national unity.
See, actually, in the Constitution.
We don't have a country.
Let's hear what Doc has to say, because all said and done, all sectors have asked for dialogue. And we are looking at the clergy, the civil societies, Kenyans themselves, and even the president has said that we need to have dialogue. And Gen Zs, a number have said that we don't need dialogue, we need action. And now, from where we sit, we must have that dialogue. Because even if we look at other countries who have had these issues, they have had to sit down. Kenya is spearheading the Tumaini initiative, South Sudan, because they've had myriad of challenges for years now. And we need to structure this dialogue in a way that everybody will feel incorporated as well. But let's hear from Daktari. All right. As we wait for Dr. Churchill, actually to respond in regards to that, maybe Newton, you can touch on that, how we can structure dialogue that will encompass everyone and everyone feels included, including some who say that we don't need this dialogue, we need action.
You know, the problem of our country is one. Each and every person within a political setup want to be number one, and we all know that number one must be the only president. Raila Odinga said this openly, that we need to have dialogue to help the situation in this country. And even mentioned some other countries like Sudan, who has been having problems since. He mentioned even Somalia, who has been having a problem ever since. But you see, I've seen our political leaders from different formations are just busy saying, we don't want dialogue, we want action. And these people were in the government in the last regime. The same people who are complaining they don't need dialogue were there at the time. And people, the opposition were on the street. So what I'm trying to say is just one. Where we are today, we need dialogue. That is number one. And we have to make sure that we have that dialogue as soon as possible. But we must go through other things. We must make sure that we release those who have been arrested with no reason by the street. We must make sure that those who had problem with their families, the people that their family died on the road, should be compensated, and we should say sorry to them. And again, apart from all those, we have to come up with a strong neutral person who can bring both the opposition parties with the government to factor in what we need to do as a country. You know, this is why we have been going to street and we have been having all these issues. We are just saying it's a corruption. That is the truth. Even the budget that was made last time, which brought all these issues. We had this 2024 finance bill. It is not there, but Kenya is still surviving. We have to reduce the cost of living in this country by not doing things which are not necessary. This government has brought issues that are not necessary at all to the people. And they want people to factor in those things as they are emergency things that we have to deal with. We have to find a way how we can grow our economy. If we have the strong economy in our country, there will be not these stupid issues that are going on now. But being our economy has collapsed because we borrow a lot of money and we steal almost quarter. I had my friend here is saying we have not justified who stolen what. These things has been justified all the time. You know, I've been here in Kenya and been seeing. Recently, the Minister of Agriculture was having issues with fertilizer. Nobody is in court. He's not arrested. The best thing the president has done is to send everybody home and left him alone and bring up the... So if we deal with these corruption issues and we find how we can make our economy to be strong and factor in the needs of the Gen Zs, how they can get job. You know, I disagree with our president in one thing. He has been talking so much on taking our youth to work outside the country. When you take people from Kenya and you take them to a different country, you are building that country, not your country. Because these people are going to pay the taxes in that country.
But unfortunately, it's because the opportunities here in the
There's
country.
No opportunity. We have opportunities. Enough. In this country, I'm telling you, we can make 20,000 jobs in a day if you want. And I have experience of doing it. I have done it myself. So we cannot deny ourselves that we cannot make something to be done. All these, our children who are on the street, these people are smart. They can make something work. You cannot take the whole of your country to give to another country to develop. You are not going to develop. Let us reduce our taxes. Let us engage and bring all international entrepreneurs. They come to Kenya and they build factories, they build companies, and we give them easy time to do their business. And they're going to employ our people, and this way we're going to get tax. You know, I saw yesterday, President was talking about something in a coastal region. These things could have been done a long time ago. I don't know why you have to wait until something happens, the agencies go to the street. It's when you go by the public and say, oh, we are going to put this, we are going to put that. We are here to make this country be better. Now, I came recently, I brought some laptops to children, the ones that I'm supporting. All these were being charged at the airport, so I was charged more than how much I got them from the other side. How can we help this our country if we put all these small issues to stop those who want to support us? There are things that we need to withdraw. If you want to bring a container full of equipment supporting our education, for example, you want to bring computers and books, when you get to the port, you have to pay money more than what you're going to use. You know, so people are tired with these things. But when we work out something that we can wave on 1, 2, 3, 4, and we can make it work through supervision, then this country is going to stand again. And we are going to gain something. But whatever is happening now, being the ministers being appointed, is political. This is the truth. President is trying to bring all the opposition leaders who have been having issues in the same government to reduce the temperature of politics in this country.
But he said he also wants to have a broad-based government, and we need to check your mic. But let me just this on Meli. Meli, when we come back, I would like you to talk about. ODM said that these are the demands. Yes, we are in government now. These are the demands that we want checked. The people who are killed compensated, the investigation, people to be held accountable for their actions. All these things. Was that enough goodwill for even Kenyans to have faith that not only can we have a broad-based government, but we can also have structured dialogue. But hold the thought. Let's now cross over to Parliament, Bunge Towers, actually, where the Health Committee is actually meeting with Dr. Harry Kimtai, who is the PS State Department for Medical Services, along with their chairman, so that they're talking about the Social Health Authority, focus on transition from National Health Insurance Fund to the SHIP. Let's listen in.
Service providers data during the transition, and if there is progress made, provide tender process and award details, including contracts signed with service providers, if any, for managing universal health care coverage. Honorable Chair and honorable members, the Ministry of Health commenced the procurement of the digital health superhighway that is designed to automate the entire healthcare ecosystem, from registration, healthcare empanelment, healthcare service provision, up to drugs distribution. The new social health authority system will be integrated with the digital health superhighway to provide the following services. Number 1, the member services. 2, healthcare empanelment. 3, pre-authorization. 4, claims management. The procurement process of this system is at an advanced stage, Chair, and we are just about to conclude signing of the contract. Security of the members and hospital data. The Ministry has conducted a data impact assessment for all existing and envisioned systems and has complied with the Data Protection Act of 2019. All personal and institutional data is encrypted and only decrypted or used upon provisions of the content from the data subject. NHIF and SHA are registered data controllers with the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner. Number 4, Chair, asked, what is the status of the registration of the social health insurance membership? Honorable Chair and members, pursuant to Section 26 of the Social Health Insurance Act, every person resident in Kenya is required to apply for registration to the Social Health Authority as a member of the Social Health Insurance Fund. Section 64 of the Act mandates the authority to implement and maintain a centralized digital platform that shall handle processing of all data. The Social Health Insurance General Regulations 2023 stipulates that the platform shall, 1, provide for the digital payment of the contributions in a simple, accurate, and verifiable manner. 2, generate statement of accounts to be made available upon request to beneficiaries on the status of their membership, contributions, usage of their contributions, and pre-authorization request. 3, provide for the registration of members of the Social Health Insurance Fund under the Act and addendum regulations. 4, assign social health insurance numbers to the registered members of the Social Health Insurance Fund. The registration of Kenyans into the Social Health Authority commenced on the 1st July 2024 through the following channels: USSD code *147#, web portal sha.go.ke, and also through assisted registration. As of 30th July 2024, 7 a.m., the total number of registered members is 464,263. Chair, what are the challenges you are facing? You asked, what are the challenges you are facing in the implementation of the social health insurance? Honorable Chair and honorable members, below are the challenges being faced in the implementation of the social health insurance. 1, multiple court cases challenging the implementation of the Social Health Authority. 2, lengthy procurement processes delaying the acquisition of the system. 3, lengthy process of developing health benefit package that demands adequate stakeholder engagement. Chair, funding challenges. The financing is heavily dependent on the informal sector. That means 70%, more than 70% of the revenue, which is a volatile situation, Chair, because it depends on the informal sector. Despite the interventions like premium financing, the authority will still be exposed to adversity in the initial phases. 5, the new social health authority structure is heavily reliant on ICT system. This will pose challenges in areas where there is no access to internet connectivity and power supply. The 5th question, Chair, you ask is what is the level of preparedness for the transition as per the 1st October 2024 deadline that was been set? Honorable Chair and members, in response to the level of preparedness for the transition, we have made the following progress. 1, the system procurement is at advanced stage. 2, registration process is ongoing. 3, a total of 7,876 healthcare providers have been empaneled and established and published at sha.go.ke website upon receipt from the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Council and the National Campaign Against Drug Abuse. The benefit package and tariff was approved by the Social Health Authority Board and is awaiting national validation, which will take place early August. Transition Committee has finalized its work and will submit the report on the 8th August 2024. Honorable Chair and honorable members, I hereby submit.
Dr. Harry Kimutai there, the PA State Department for Medical Services there, alongside members from the Social Health Authority, that is SHA, the agenda being the transition between the NHIF from the NHIF to the Social Health Authority. Of course, a number of queries from Kenyans in regards to how this scheme is going to work, and in light of the cabinet being dissolved and we have a new cabinet nominee, I think there are some issues that the PS, together with the chairman of SHA, had to put into perspective. My colleague Kevin Washira is currently on that bit and bringing us live. It's live from Bunge Towers. We're back. This is KBC News Tech. Just in case you joined us, we are looking at the state of the nation and especially on the dialogue, because that is exactly what has been called for, not only by the president, civil society, the clergy. It's time to have a discussion so as to may end the political impulse that has been has rocked the country in the past 1 year. And gentlemen, before we went to Bunge Towers, talking about when we are having dialogue, everybody has to come up with something, or the ODM has said, yes, before even we take up these positions, these things also need to be accounted for, the deaths. We need also to look at the demands, that more or less like what ODM has. How should we structure the dialogue so that we make sure that we bring in everyone on board?
Now, the other day it was announced that there would be a dialogue. One, they failed to tell us where the venue of the dialogue will be. Number two, when we are going to dialogue, what is the agenda of this dialogue? Because we are in a crisis. There are demands left, right, and center. The ODM demands are genuine, as I see, because whatever has happened in the last 1 month must be accounted for, and somebody must be held to account. Must give explanation and justifications of what happened. If we were to go on a dialogue, is it ODM and government, or is it ODM, Gen Z and government, or is it the entire Azimio, KK and the Gen Z? Because now the Azimio side or the ODM side is organized. The government side is organized. The youth side, the Gen Z side, is not organized, because who are you going to engage in that dialogue? Who among them? Because in anything, you just don't announce something and you don't have participants. You must know, the way the president said, the youth should give us around 150 participants, and the rest will be carried over by the government and the opposition. But I didn't see any reason of bringing the opposition into this discussion, because actually the conflict was between the government and the youth of this country. And I think the president doing the town hall meetings I'm seeing, perhaps it's a way of dialogue also to understand the people from the ground. And I see this was used in the previous years by Jerry Rawlings, the former president of Ghana. He used to go to a village, listen to a village barazas. I think the president taking the town halls to different counties as he moves, and he has said it will be monthly, perhaps is a form of dialogue. But at the end of the day, who is writing the agenda of this dialogue? How implementable is the discussion? Because at the end of the day, the president keeps telling us what the government is doing and what is not is about to do. Like the other day, he said he has come with 800 million of fishermen. I am sure the fishermen are waiting for the cash. Yes. But in which form? Because he should also package his statement and say, through the Ministry of Fisheries, the fishermen are going to receive 1, 2, 3, 4 within this period of time, rather than announcing. Because I see the reason why some youth are not in good terms with the president. He has public pronouncements that are not structured, such that you don't know who will follow up what is being said. It will come through which channel, at what point will we receive this? Because if he says in 6 months, in 3 months, in 1 month, we should be told through the Ministry of Youth, there's going to be Talanta Hela competition on this day and this day and this day. And these are the expected outcomes. That looks structured. You know, our children are learned people. These people have eaten books quite literally. And I believe, Ben, you can you can agree with me that these people are in the age of technology, whereby if they forget something, they retrieve it online and see, this was said, it has not been done. This was said, it has not been done. And I remember Mzee Moi, whenever he would go to a place and say, this road is going to be made. Bwana Waziri, Simama, you see them, even the DC saluting and taking the orders as an order. But here, he gives blanket declarations that nobody is held accountable. And if there's no one to follow, we follow him. And that's why now, and they say the buck stops with him. So the youth are after him because he said it. He said it. So he should delink himself from such statements, so that at least he would say, Bwana PS, this ministry and ministry, we had agreed on 800 million for fishermen.
What happened?
What is the procedure that these fishermen will access this money? How are they going to access it? Because if you tell a Kenyan that there is money, they expect cash. But tell them, we are coming in terms of equipping, equipment like coolers and the rest, and nets. It is easily understandable.
Okay. And because of the interest of time, I would like to sample your closing statements.
No, my question goes to the president. How long will you tell us what the government is going to provide, because during his campaign, he was using the word in Swahili, tumetenga hii, tumetenga million fulani, tumetenga million fulani. By the time they took power, they said there's no money at the treasury. At the same time, last few weeks when we were fighting against the 2024 finance bill, they said we don't have money in our treasury. And now it's telling us we are going to implement this with this certain amount of money. I think we are tired of lies and quotes that he's doing.
But we should actually give him time, because he has already said so.
No,
let's wait
my
again.
problem is this. He said this before election. He was saying tumetenga pesa fulani, tumetenga hii for youth, tumetenga hii. What happened with those money? So I think he's just talking out of sense. He see many people, many crowd, and you have to tell them something without consulting what is in the treasury and how. Because this money that president has been telling us, tumetenga hii, tumetenga hii. There's a ministry, and ministry has their own budgets, and these budgets must be taken how they should be. But tukitenga yote, then when you come back and there's no, then you become a lie.
Okay.
You become a liar. So what I can say to our president and the government, that we should put things in order in our house. Before we go to the field and start telling people what we are going to do, let us have a cabinet meeting and focus on what are the needs. Is the need this one? And how much do you have for that need? The other need is this thing. If it is the roads, how much do we need for the roads? Then we come out with a budget. So when I go to the public, I know what to talk about. Not because I want to make some people laugh and cheer.
Okay.
You will be cheered, and the following day they will come and get you out from the office. So I'm just requesting in a very comfortable way that we must understand what we are doing before we go to the public. And dialogue, we need it. And I'm requesting Raila Amolo Odinga Baba to talk with this Azimio Brigade, so that we can have a better conversation with the government to make something work for the betterment of our country.
All right, all right. Unfortunately, we are out of time, and I'm informed that we need to usher in the Kurunzi Mashinani and Tamrini Brigade. I can see Khalid Abdullahi is currently in studio, and he will be taking you through that as well. My name is Bentro Njue. I've been having 4 gentlemen. Initially, we had Ishmael Nyaribo, an advocate of the High Court, who had to step out, and on Zoom, we had Dr. Churchill Saoke, who is a leadership and governance expert and also a university don. And right here in studio, we have Sami Meli, who is a political analyst, and also Newton Ogada. Gentlemen, thank you so much indeed for joining us, and thank you so much you who you are watching from home or from wherever you are watching. My name is Bentro Njue, and Brian Muraru has been our sign language interpreter for these live newscasts. But don't forget, Kurunzi Mashinani and Tamrini coming up next. Don't forget as well, Olympics equal KBC.
Thank you for joining us on Healthy Living. Stay connected to Voice of America at voanews.com. A look at your kidneys and how they impact your health. And an expert discusses chronic kidney disease and how to protect yourself. And Ivorian psychologist Noor Bakayoko shares some insights on bullying and what can be done.
It's important to avoid major events or major health crises.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well
and strive to make every day a healthy day.
On KBC Channel 1, we are a TV station like no other. Get a taste of the best in entertainment.
Yes, indeed.
Feel the passion.
Will you promise me?
I swear that you will never lose me. I can't get married to you.
I'm sure you knew about it. That's why you're making fun of me.
Experience the drama.
Get out.
Who is the man in this one? And the laughter.
Hii wigi umevaa kichwani. Sio wakati tulikuwa tunaapishwa tunapewa mheshimiwa.
Move to the beat.
We are live from Broadcasting House.
And get informed on the latest happenings.
Sasa
KBC Channel 1.
Wow. Yeah!
We are the full package.
Oh, yes.
And Kenya's watching.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Monaghan Farm on the outskirts of Johannesburg is a 1,300-acre space that will only develop 3% of the land. This leaves the rest of the land in its natural state and undisturbed, creating a sense of belonging for homeowners and for a beautiful view of the landscape. But before we move on to the nitty-gritty part of the house and how this farm addresses sustainability, let's visit Kenya to see how one woman's vision enables the